Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today is an exciting day because I am doing the #1 mod I've been wanting to do on one of my vehicles for a very long time. We're going to be turning my headlights from looking like this into this. So back in 2006, Audi came out with the first production vehicle with LED DRLs on the 2006 Audi R8. So the 2006 Audi R8 is actually one of my dream vehicles. However, this channel isn't quite big enough for me to be able to afford one quite yet. So this is gonna have to do, and I'm excited to do one of my 2007 Chevy Tahoe, which has DRLs on it. However, they are not the LED DRLs. And we're gonna be putting on the Anzo Switchback projector headlights onto the Chevy Tahoe so that we can have some LED DRLs. So with that said, I'm gonna show you guys step by step on how to put these headlights in. You're gonna be able to see exactly what they look like. I'm gonna be pulling the full front bumper off of this thing. I'm gonna be doing it actually kind of the hard way, mainly because I want to do it the right way and not cause any issues. You can technically do this job without pulling the full front bumper off. However, I wanted to do that because I also kind of wanted to know how to do it. So with that said, let's get out the box and I'm gonna pull out the headlights to see what they look like. I'm stoked. This is actually pretty cool. So they actually have this in kind of some pink foam that's perfectly formed to the headlight, which is great for packaging so that I don't have to worry so much about damage. Take a look at that. So this right here is gonna be our DRL. It goes all the way around. There are some others that kind of have the DRL going right here. I really wanted it to wrap all the way around. And then I also opted for the chrome housing. So the headlights actually right now on the Tahoe are actually a black housing. I'm not a huge fan of headlights being blacked out. So far, honestly, I'm really impressed with the quality. It feels really, really nice. It is plug and play, so you do have all of the cables already here. Literally all I'm gonna have to do is basically just plug it right in. It already actually comes with all the bulbs, which is interesting because the listing said I needed to use my own bulbs. But you know, that's actually really nice. So I don't have to worry about bulbs, don't have to worry about replacing bulbs. We're gonna go ahead and start pulling the bumper off and go from there. You might be surprised to see that we're actually starting this install on the side of the vehicle instead of the front. And that is because we actually have to peel this backwards to be able to pop this side of the bumper off. And that starts with removing a couple bolts and a couple little plastic pieces. So the first is gonna be here. This is a 7mm bolt. There's a 7mm bolt down at the bottom. And then there are actually two plastic clips right here. So all we need to have is the 7mm and this flathead screwdriver. It is better to have the correct tool for removing these clips. However, I don't have it and you probably don't either. So we're gonna be doing this together. Let's go ahead and get started. I grabbed the wrong tool. This is the 7mm. All right, so we got those two bolts off. Now we're gonna pull these clips off. Now we're gonna go ahead and do the exact same thing on this side. We now have all of these here. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna turn this wheel, I'm gonna fold it back like I did the other one. However, for now, this is done. Before we finish up on this side, I do have to remove the fog lamp cable, not the actual fog lamp itself, but there's a cable that goes into the back of it because we're gonna pull this whole bumper off and we wanna make sure the fog lamp comes with it and we're not pulling on any of the wiring. Next step is actually all underneath of the hood. So we gotta get that thing popped and open up the hood. If I remember how to do it. All right, so basically what we're gonna do is there's supposed to be 6 bolts. I'm actually missing one, I don't know why. However, you have to remove this bolt, and this bolt. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that done now. So now we have all of those bolts done on the top portion here, and now all we have to do is jump underneath of the vehicle, as there are actually 2 bolts underneath that I need to pull off, and then we can pull this full bumper. All right, guys, before we get under the vehicle, I do want to remind you guys that I do have this giant hole here. So this whole bumper is actually going to get replaced at some point. So make sure to leave down your comments what you guys think I should do for that. Should I put an off-road bumper? Should I get another bumper, maybe an aftermarket, kind of like a cooler looking one? Or should I just replace it with another stock bumper? All right, so there are 2 bolts that we need to remove. There is this one right here, and then there's an exactly the same size one right over there as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those removed. I'm gonna do them off camera because I really don't know how to film this while having two hands to use this. So we are actually now to the final steps of removing this bumper now that I have all the bolts off. So there are a couple clips basically right here and then on the other side of the bumper as well. So let's go ahead and remove those and see what we got. There's one. Now we're gonna do the same thing over here. That one popped off, so now let's go ahead and get to the front of the bumper. All we should have to do now is tug carefully on the front of the bumper, and it should pop right off. Let's go ahead and get that done. We did it! It's off! All right, let's put this off to the side. So to pull this headlight off, all I have to do now, I think, is basically pull that one off, and then this one right here, which holds the headlight on. All right, so this thing is now completely disconnected. So what we now need to do is also disconnect the wiring harness. Again, it's the exact same one that's in the box of the other one. So let's go ahead and pop that off. Before I put the new headlights in, I wanted to show you guys kind of the difference between the two side by side. You can see these are the old ones, and then these ones are obviously the new ones. You have the DRLs. There's no DRLs. It is a projector headlight, so it's these square things right here. These ones are not project, they're just kind of like your standard headlights. But yeah, it has everything there. They look very similar, but also, you know, very different as well. So let's go ahead and get these things installed. So with that said, we're gonna go ahead and put these right in exactly the same way we took the other ones out. It's literally just plug and play, which is really, really cool. And then we'll go ahead and put the bumper back on and we'll see exactly what they look like. You know, something I just realized is what I should do before I go ahead and install this completely is test it out and actually make sure it works. So let's go ahead and do that. You can see that the projector headlamp works there. Let's go ahead and turn the brights on. So the dim's turned off, the brights turned on. That is a good sign. You can see the DRL actually turns into the turn signal. You manually turn on the DRLs. I don't totally quite know how to do that quite yet. So let's go ahead and finish up the install and we'll play around with that later. To turn the DRLs on, so basically these are the headlights and these are actually the DRLs. So when you flip that around to that, you should have the DRLs right here on. So that's actually pretty cool. So that's how you manually turn those on. All right, with that thing is completely installed. So let's go ahead and do the exact same thing. Remove the other headlight and install the other headlight. So that's what it looks like so far. How exciting. These look really, really nice so far. So next step is putting the bumper back on. So let's go ahead and do that. But first, I want to talk about Real Truck. So Real Truck is actually the one that sent these out to me. They also did a ton of other modifications with me that you have seen from earlier videos. And I have one more modification to put on this vehicle from them as well. They have a ton of different accessories. I did a lot of cosmetic modifications. However, they also have a ton of other stuff, including performance modifications, brakes, body work, just anything that you can think of. It's realtruck.com, and they are just a fantastic retailer of truck parts and SUV parts like this vehicle right here. All right, guys, so the next step is we're just gonna basically be doing everything we did in reverse. So what happens now is I'm going to be putting the bumper back on here so that it's going to look normal again instead of like this. And then that is it. So we're going to be putting all the bolts back on. We're going to be putting all the plastic pieces back on, and then we'll be all done with this. It is already plugged in. It is already operational. These headlights already look amazing. reminder, make sure to plug in your fog lights. It's done. All right, there you go, guys. They are completely installed now. Take a look at that. Wow, it looks really, really nice. I am excited. How cool is that, guys? So let's go ahead and I'm gonna kind of talk about my thoughts and we're gonna go from there. Hey guys, it's Austin from the future. I want to give those thoughts to you really quick now that I've actually had a couple of days to think about it, rather than giving you my thoughts right after the install. So these headlights are fantastic. I really, really like these headlights. They are honestly exactly what I wanted on this rig, and I've been super, super impressed with them. They were so easy to install. I'll be completely honest, I really should not have pulled that front bumper off. I would highly recommend not doing that if you are doing this install. Instead, I would recommend basically taking those two bolts that are at the top of the headlight, and then what you do is you actually reach around inside of the bumper. After you take that wheel well liner back, you have pretty easy access to the bolt in the back there. So I would recommend doing it that way and pulling it out without pulling the bumper off. I think it would be considerably easier. I did it the hard way because I need to replace that bumper at some point, so I wanted to see the damage that is to it currently. I wanted to see the impact bumper, and honestly, I also just wanted to pull the bumper in general. But I would not recommend that for you. I think it is much easier just to do it from those three bolts, one hiding behind the bumper and the other two are easily visible at the top there. So I would recommend making sure to do that instead of what I did. The other thing I'm super impressed with are the DRLs. They are honestly exactly what I wanted, exactly what I was looking for. I like it that there are not individual LEDs. Instead, it is just a consistent white and orange color. I really do like that. And I also honestly like the surprise that it came with all of those light bulbs. That is something that I just wasn't expecting. And as you probably could see on the video, I wasn't expecting that. And they work really, really well. And I really like them. They're honestly super bright. I saw some reviews out there where they were talking about that they couldn't see as well. I think these are really, really bright. They do kind of have a hard cutoff, which is just kind of a characteristic of projector headlights. Whereas most people are used to regular headlights, which kind of display their light really broad. These are very pointed down the road. So you can literally see the cutoff of the headlight. And then the last thing is that I really liked about them, they're not cheesy. A lot of those kind of, those modernized aftermarket headlights look really honestly kind of cheesy, and I'm not a huge fan of them. I was a little bit worried that they were going to look weird on this vehicle and kind of make it honestly aftermarket. However, I think with these Anzo headlights, they look stock. They honestly look like they were meant to be there, and I'm super, super impressed with them and really, really happy with how they look. I think they look stock, but also just really, really modernize the vehicle. As for downsides, honestly, I can't really give too many downsides. They were easy to install. They look great and work really, really well. You can't ask for anything more. I think the only thing that I can think of is honestly, they do have a pretty hefty price point on them. However, that said, there are, I'll be honest, stock headlights really are expensive in general. So getting something like these are a much better solution than just going with another OEM headlight. There are cheaper options out there. However, I just really like the mixture of quality, plug and play, easy to install, and just everything. It just really does work, and I do think it's worth the price. It is a hefty price, so you want to make sure that you are willing to put that money into your vehicle, because you're probably not going to get it back, because that's just not how aftermarket components work. This is truly a modification for you to enjoy. So anyways, that's really the only downside I can think of, which is just basically price. So hey, anyways, let's keep on moving. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe if you found it helpful whatsoever, and make sure to like it, because liking this video makes it so that other people can see this video on the YouTube algorithm, and it really, really helps me out. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a great one. See ya.